What's up guys, and welcome to another Sm.I.E video. It has definitely been a minute and there have been a number of changes. As you can tell, a few things have changed in my environment, but we are back and we are ready to go again. Now 2022, I don't know, I think this may be maybe my second or third video so far for 2022. It's definitely been a roller coaster year. Several changes on the horizon and a few already in the bag, but like I said, we're definitely ready to go. Today I want to jump into another major topic in the world of IT that so far I've just been teasing on a few previous videos, but I'm gonna start and go into it full blown today. This is a big one, so I'm gonna have to split this video up in a few different parts, just so that I can keep the videos more concise and feed them to you guys in a bit more bite-sized pieces, if you will. That being said, our topic for today is virtualization. Yes, rolling out the big guns today for our first video in a little while. Major topic, lots of fun, a whole lot behind it. So if you're ready, let's go. All right, so first up, usual stuff. What is virtualization and why is it significant? Well, super simplified, virtualization is basically the practice of taking physical hardware and then turning it into virtual hardware. Now, what do I mean by that? All right, well, think of it this way. Think of it in terms of, let's say you have a plant and then you take a picture of that plant. That picture that you've taken of the plant has now turned that plant into a digital item, right? The concept is essentially the same with virtualization, with a few differences. All right, so now we know what virtualization is. Why is it significant? So let's go back to that example of the plant, right? So you love plants, big plants, small plants, all sorts of different plants. You love seeing these plants, you love the beauty in these plants, but let's say you live in a small space, so you can't have a lot of plants. So what can you do? Well, one of the things that you can do is you can take a lot of pictures of a lot of different plants, and you can probably frame these pictures and you can put these pictures up on your wall. And thereby, now it seems like you have a lot of plants around you, right? Voila. Now you have a lot more plants. Your original plants are still there, they're still in the same space, and they're still untouched. The concept is essentially the same for virtualization, right? Virtualization basically allows you to take one device and then turn that one device into multiple devices. In the world of technology, IT, that's like magic. See, the reason for this is, or the need for it is because physical hardware has limitations, right? Typically in IT, one server in an IT environment is usually used for one or at most two applications specifically, especially if this is like a web application or a database application or anything like that. It's typically going to consume one server for itself. Now, you can probably see the problem with that already. That's a whole lot of resources tied up into one server. And this used to create a huge, very expensive problem for a lot of organizations, right? Reason being is that for every application, you're gonna have to get an additional server. So every app you have, if you have 10 apps, then you probably need 10 servers to run those 10 apps in your organization. So you can imagine a company might end up having 6, 7, 9, 15, 20, a whole lot of enterprise grade servers running in their environment. And that many servers would have a whole lot of resources. So they would be over provisioned with RAM and CPU and storage, and they'd have a whole lot of resources that aren't being fully utilized. Now, along with that, you also have to consider the cost to power all of these servers, as they're gonna have multiple power supplies as well for redundancy. And then you need to consider the cost to cool all of these servers, because of course they generate a lot of heat, right? So you're gonna have to cool these servers. In comes virtualization now to help solve this problem, right? because now with virtualization, instead of having to get 6 servers for 6 different applications, you can have one really good server that has a lot of resources, and then you can virtualize that one server and basically turn that one server into 6 virtual servers, which function as if they were 6 individual physical servers. So now you have now saved on a lot of money and power and storage space with just having one server instead of however many servers for however many applications. Now, a lot of modern day applications that you're probably used to hearing about every day are built on this actual type of technology. Like, for example, the cloud. Companies like Amazon and Google and Microsoft, all these big name companies and even smaller name companies utilize virtualization in order to deliver their services to you. Even companies like Netflix and Disney Plus, like virtualization is literally everywhere. All right. So there are different types of virtualization technologies, right? But the 2 main types of virtualization are bare metal virtualization, which is essentially where you virtualize an entire piece of hardware, or let's say you virtualize an entire server by installing something that's called a hypervisor. Like, this is basically what they call the virtualization software, right? And you install that hypervisor on top of that server, similar to how you would install, say, Windows or Linux on a laptop or a PC. So now once you've done that, the hypervisor now becomes the operating system for that server, just as how Windows or Linux would. And you can now, through the hypervisor, create virtual instances of that server, like virtualized physical servers, and provision it with a share of the RAM and of the CPU and of the storage that's on that physical server. And then you install an OS like how you'd install Windows and turn it into a full-on virtual PC or a virtual server. One of the leaders in this field, and my absolute favorite to work with, is VMware. Then there is the next type of virtualization, which is OS level virtualization. This type of virtualization is where you already have an operating system running on a server or a device like Windows or Linux, but you want to carve out a piece of the resources to run some additional servers. So basically what you do is you install the OS level hypervisor, which you would install like any other app that you install on your PC or on a server. And then once it's installed, you can go ahead and use it to do basically the same thing that you would do with the bare metal hypervisor. Now, a big example of this is another VMware product called VMware Workstation. But an even bigger example of this is something called Docker, which is something you'll typically hear referenced in a practice called containerization. Containerization is basically virtualizing the virtual space. It's like a Super Saiyan level of virtualization. Now, virtualization technology has definitely improved over the years, leaps and bounds, to be honest, which applications like Docker and the whole practice of containerization is a big testament to, right? Without this technology, it's pretty much safe to say that a lot of the services that we enjoy today would be a whole lot more expensive for us to enjoy, as they would be a whole lot more expensive to deliver, right? With that being said, however, that's actually the end of part 1 of this video. In part 2, I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a demo on how this process actually works and how great a tool this is for IT. Till then, thanks for coming along with me on this journey. It really feels great to be back at it again, and I hope you guys enjoyed today's video as much as I did. And if you did, please go ahead and hit that like button and feel free to drop me a comment. And if you haven't already, please consider hitting that subscribe button and subscribing to my channel for more content. My name is Nate, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.